Today on The Money, our resident financial advisor, Salvi Duplito, talks to a new investor who is rattled by recent market movements and is losing interest in investing. Plus, how to track income and spending if you're a small businessman. Finally, what does it take to become a certified security specialist or someone who can trade and participate in stock market business besides eating stress for breakfast? We find out today from the organization that trains candidates and gives the mock examination. So do stay with us. This is Edric Mendoza and you're watching On The Money. Every day we'll be bringing you tips, insights, events, and news to help you with your personal finance and investment goals. Here's what we have for you today.
Japan is the third largest economy in the world and the world's largest creditor nation with a trade and investment surplus. So why is it so important that we here in the Philippines know what Abenomics is and how it affects us? Abenomics refers to Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's economic policies designed to expand Japan's stagnant economy. It combines an aggressive quantitative easing program by the Bank of Japan, which includes devaluing the yen, a surge in public infrastructure spending, and structural reforms such as deregulation and a higher sales tax.
The Japanese economy has stagnated for so long, and it came to a point that they really have to spur it up and do a lot of changes, because you have China as a major competitor. I mean, Japan used to be the biggest economy in this side of the world in terms of, as a trading partner or as a source of investments, and China, as we know, has flexed its muscles through the years, and it's becoming a big challenge to Japan.
Japan is our largest trading partner with 20% of our total exports. So a stronger Japanese economy could mean more business for us. Ricardo says a devalued yen may increase Japan's trade, and as our largest trading partner, our exports are likely to increase as well.
One, if you spur consumption in Japan, it becomes a good market for us. Although I think we're not putting our eggs in just one basket, we're also going after China, because after all, it's a huge economy as well. Investments, some investments also are coming from Japan, so we'd like to keep that flowing, especially now with all the reforms that we've done. We're trying to sell ourselves as as a good investment destination.
Ricardo says 4 to 5% of our overall remittances, that's $1 billion, comes from Japan, and that's forecast to grow.
We're not really a major exporting country, so keeping the remittances stable or growing for that matter, and also growing the foreign direct investments is something that we have to sustain, given the huge contribution of this into the Philippine economy. We're more dependent really on remittances to keep the economy afloat. It's one thing that we've been trying to grow in exports, because any source of good is good for us.
With trade barriers between ASEAN countries set to come down by 2015, the Philippines is also negotiating a special trade relationship with Japan.
If we can forge this agreement with Japan, then all the better. But we have to be ready, because it comes with conditions. I mean, like, you also, part of that is you have to open up your economy as well. And there might be a need for changing some of the rules too.
As the Philippines strengthens its economic ties with other nations, breaking down trade and market barriers, it's easy to see how their economies can affect ours, particularly when they're just 1,800 miles away.
Coming up, let's hear what our resident financial advisor, Salvi Duplito, has for us on The Money. We'll be right back. Welcome back to On The Money. Our resident financial advisor, Salvi Duplito, tells a new investor who is rattled by the gyrations in the stock market how to keep her investments fire burning. She also gives advice on how to track income and spending if you're a small businessman.
Our viewer today is the owner of a photography studio who is clueless about how to track his income and expenses. I also talked to a student who has been asked to stop studying by her parents.
Hi, my name is Mike, business owner of Mike Tagle Photography. And my question is, paano ko kaya matatrack ang expenses and income properly, especially ngayong bago kami, hindi namin natatrack ng ayos. Can you give me some advice for this so that ma-improve pa namin yung production namin?
When you're a businessman, the devil is indeed in the details. Tracking income and expenses is tedious. But if you fail to do this task, you won't know if you're actually making any money.
First, simplify your life by harnessing technology. Free applications on your Android or iOS gadgets can record income and expenses literally at the flick of a finger. And what's fun is that these are capable of exporting your data so that you are not held hostage to your phone's operating system. Try out iWallet, Money Tracker, Social Finance, and Financius. They're all great apps that I've personally looked at to help you. Second, record in real time. The apps are designed to be so convenient that you can easily do them after you purchase something or after a client has paid you. So do not procrastinate. Third, keep your receipts to document your tax-deductible expenses and record them on your books at the end of each week.
As with any habit, all of these will be difficult in the beginning. But do these items consistently for 30 days and they are your habits for life. Our next question comes from Yayi.
Dear Salve, I'm getting a bit frustrated with my investments. I'm losing roughly 30,000 pesos and nawawala na yung excitement ko. However, I have no plan of redeeming my subscription, not until makahabol ako. I have my buffer fund and I have a water refilling station. So as of now, I don't need the money. But with the market right now, I don't know if I'm still on the right track. Yayi.
Yayi, you need to go to a spa or have barkada therapy with your friends to relax. But seriously, the first thing that I want you to do is to step back and revisit the investment goals and the strategy that you decided to use even before you started investing. And I am assuming that you went through all that process and not just plunked in your money in the stock market to chase yields, all right?
If you're investing with a time horizon of 5 to 10 years, relax. If your strategy is to invest in blue chip stocks, relax. Your losses are paper losses as of now. As long as you don't liquidate at a loss, you're not losing anything except fees if you're invested in mutual fund or unit investment trust fund. It's natural to forget all of your predefined strategies and goals, but a revisit will help refresh your mind about why you began to invest at all. Second, I want you to join an investment club or talk to other people who are invested in the market as well. New investors tend to do a lot better when they go through the experience with other newbies and seasoned ones. PGFI on Facebook is one of these. Check them out. Third, I would like you to look at the following charts. This is the market in the last 3 months, in the last 6 months, in the last year, in the last 3 years, and in the last 5 years.
Assuming you chose your stocks or funds well, you will be fine. Why? Because this is true of all markets around the world. Equities outperform all other types of investments over the long term. So breathe.
Do you want to learn more about investing in the stock market? That's next on The Money. We'll be right back. Welcome back to On the Money. The stock market is always in a state of flux, meaning those who survive in it must have the stomach for dizzying twists and turns and the capacity to digest facts and numbers. So joining us here today to discuss what hoops you need to jump through to become a certified securities specialist is Tina Vitas, Executive Director of iACADEMY School of Continuing Education. Hi, Tina.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yeah, so jumping through hoops, is it really that difficult?
It is difficult if you don't have the fundamentals in place, and this is why I think it's important to go back to school to learn it.
Okay, and let's talk about this curriculum. So it's a specialized. Can you detail that course description again?
It's a partnership between PSE and iACADEMY, which is the school that I represent. And the program basically is 127 hours of classroom instruction. It is divided into 15 different topics about the finance industry, in particular the securities industry. So, and then after the 127 hours of classroom instruction, you will go through a mock exam and a final exam before you are given a certificate.
Right. People can actually fail that and not get the certification,
actually,
right?
Yes, they can actually fail it.
All right. And the required hours, is that fixed over a period of time, or can people sort of jump and come in and out?
For this program, it is quite structured. So people come into the class on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 6 to 9 p.m. And then they have three hours of classroom instruction. And during that time also, they do application exercises.
Okay. And this thing runs twice a year, thrice a year? How many times
Right now,
a year?
we are attempting to run it twice a year. We started in August, late August. We will finish in mid-December. And we are hoping to run the next one in January 2014.
Okay, exciting. And the people who enroll here, right, can they just be any Joe off the street who wants to take it, or is there a certain requirement?
Interestingly, this program is open enrollment. We allow anybody who has an interest in learning how to trade stocks to enroll in the program. Just to give you an example, in this current class, I have a middle-aged farmer from Nueva Ecija in the class.
Fascinating.
Who is really interested in trading the Philippine stock market, and I also have somebody who is working in Pag-ibig.
Really?
And
a government agency?
Yes. I also have somebody who's a lawyer. When I interviewed him, he said, I'm not really taking this for any other reason than my interest in the financial industry.
Sure.
My day job is being a lawyer,
of course, yeah.
but I want to learn more about the financial industry.
Okay, and that works because it's open, right? Does it help, though, that they have some involvement in the stock market, for example?
It always helps, because if you've already had previous involvement in the stock market and if you already traded, then you have a certain feel for it. So you actually come to the class for the structure and the theory behind why you perhaps did pick certain stocks versus another.
Okay. So what software do you have for the students
what
here?
What is special about this run with iACADEMY? The feature that is special with this one is the 9-hour financial Excel workshop, which we added to the program. The program before did not have this. Excel is a very, very powerful tool to use in financial analysis. So that is what this 9-hour Excel workshop is supposed to teach you, right? So you can plug in your computations on an Excel spreadsheet, you can do your graphs, you can do your price to earnings ratios. Otherwise, if you didn't know how to use Excel effectively, you would have to do a lot of manual calculation.
I can imagine, yeah.
Which is, I think, even more difficult, right? And more prone to error.
Right, right.
So if you want to track a portfolio, definitely Excel is a powerful tool for that.
And this certificate program, just for perspective, has been running for how long already?
This certificate program has been running for a few years. We had actually done it at iACADEMY twice before.
Okay. And I guess it evolves, like you're saying, right now you have this financial Excel, and then as it continues to grow, you'll be able to see maybe even more innovation.
It also has to evolve because it is trying to keep up with what is going on in the financial markets. So they do from time to time tweak the program.
And I can imagine, so let's say you get the certificate already, right? You're certified as a securities specialist, right? And you have the pride of seeing from the Philippine Stock Exchange, right? It is a partnership there. There are refresher courses maybe for them? Let's say, for example, up-and-coming ETFs, things like that. Will that be part of the upgrades? Or
Because they have an area inside the PSE, which is called MED, which is the Market Education Department.
Wow. Okay.
So the idea of the Market Education Department is really to make sure that Filipinos become financially literate.
Let's talk about the bigger advocacy, if you will, behind the stock market. No, would you have an idea how many actually are investing right now in the stock exchange?
Right now, I got a number which says that only about 430,000 people are actively invested.
Only of the 90 million Pinoys.
Yes,
That is
because people
a
have
small number, yeah.
people have a misconception that only the learned and the elite can invest in the stock market. But here's where things have changed. There is a phenomenon called online now. So when people have access to online information, can do trading online, it all of a sudden opens up a brand new ball game wherein everybody can be a player if they're interested and if they're willing to learn. Right? It's no longer limited to people that have relationships with brokerage houses that have a few millions of pesos to invest. Now, for example, if you have a savings of 100,000 pesos, why keep it in a savings account where you will earn what, a percent a year?
Very clear.
2%?
Very clear.
Where historically in the stock market, you can average anywhere year on year. This is including the volatility already. There are some years that are not as good as others, right? There's the bull and the bear run. So on even if you measure the ups and the downs, on average you can still do easily anywhere from 10 to 20%. It's
Still
not
much better.
surprising.
I mean, clearly,
it's better
yeah,
than 2%,
clearly,
right? Even with the volatility.
Right, and people argue that we still have the best performing stock market in the world. I mean, people even say, and now I'm very curious because you said that it's very important that they get to learn about these things because they would otherwise just keep it somewhere. You know, my son actually trades online. He's 10 years old. And I'm saying this because I want to know, for this particular program, is there an age limit? Let's say college students who want to now get the certification and become more confident in dealing and learning about the stock market. Is it something they can do?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Our program is, again, open enrollment.
So no age, not even, like even my son, if I wanted him to go through this, would that, as long as he can cope and understand the concepts, I'm curious.
It would probably be better for somebody who is quite young. When I say quite young, meaning 20 below, to be among their peers, just for the experience.
Correct.
But in terms of can they learn something like this, I would guess that somebody in college would probably be more equipped.
Right.
Just because of the technicality.
That makes sense.
Not because they're not capable. It's just because it's technical.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you think that having a program like this actually helps raise that number of people who will now be interested in trading in the stock market?
Absolutely. Because you know why? There is always a natural fear factor among people to go into something that does not have a structure in place. For example, the two of us, I'm sure, can learn how to trade stocks on our own. But without the structure of having to go to class and learning why we are doing what we're actually doing, right? So you're still a little bit tentative. But if you go into a class for 127 hours, you get taught by market practitioners. For example, Jonathan Ravelas, who is the chief strategist of BDO, is going to teach the next course, which is fundamental and technical analysis.
Very good.
You sit in a class with Jonathan Ravelas, I'm sure after that your confidence level is 100%, right?
Should be.
Yeah, before you sat there, you were like a little iffy.
Tentative.
Yes, I'm not so sure about this, I'm afraid, maybe I'm doing the wrong thing.
Okay.
Once you sit in the class with him for 9 hours, you will be validated.
Okay.
And you will also discover maybe some lines of thinking that were wrong. They're completely erroneous and are not going to help you pick the right stocks and build the right portfolio.
You said fundamental and technical analysis. How many, did you say 15 parts to this whole course?
Yes, there are actually 15 parts.
Could you quickly just mention, so there's fundamental and technical analysis?
So we start with the Excel workshop. We go through quantitative methods of finance. We go through macroeconomics. Why is that important? Macroeconomics is important because that's the external driver.
Big picture.
Big picture. If the Philippine economy is doing well, obviously the companies that are in the Philippine economy are driving the entire country doing well. Those are the drivers, the companies doing well. Then we have the analysis and use of financial statements, which is very important. How do you know the health of a company?
Makes sense.
You don't work there. So you look at the numbers in the balance sheet and the financial statement, and then you make an assessment. Is this company healthy? Is the value of it much higher than what it's selling for? So you study the financial statements and it tells you a story about the company. We also have the organization of the financial and equities market. Now, the capital markets, obviously, there's the equities market, which commonly referred to as stocks, and we also have the fixed income markets, right? In the Philippines, the derivatives market is a little bit still unexplored.
Yes.
Yes. And I would have to say, because I did work in finance in New York for 9 years, and I did emerging markets, derivatives are much more sophisticated, and they have a much higher level of risk.
You need a more mature market.
Yes, definitely.
To do that. Okay.
But
next.
And then after that, we also have valuation, right? Portfolio management, which is how do you put together a portfolio? And when you put together a portfolio, one of the most important tenets that I learned when I was in New York is called diversification. In layman's language, that's called don't put all your eggs in one basket. Okay? So that's basically, if I had to summarize, portfolio diversification, right? For example, if you are young and aggressive, you can invest, you can have a portfolio that is 90% stocks, right? Because you have a long, between age 20 and the time you retire, 60 to 65, there's a long lifespan by which, even with the volatility, you will still earn a lot of money. So if you're a little bit more conservative, you go with fixed income. You go with what the layman's language is bonds, right? They may be earning you a little bit less, but they are easier to predict.
Right. And we actually cover a lot of that when we talk about personal finance. So what else? Did we cover all 15 already?
Not yet. We have risk management. And then we have, here we go, fixed income in the bond market, which is slightly more conservative. And then there's also a class in how to raise capital in the capital markets. And then the introduction to derivatives. And then the last 3 classes are more, again, big picture, which is ethics in the professional asset management industry. And then we have securities regulation, covered by the SEC, of course. And then the recent developments in the capital markets.
Very comprehensive. Package cost of the course is?
The total package cost, the 100, including the exam, is 136 hours. Right now, we are pricing it at 50,000.
Okay. Let's go to questions from our viewers, Tina. I'm really fascinating. I'm sure other people have questions to ask, like maybe Hardy. Isa po akong technician sa automotive service. Gusto ko sana mag-invest sa stock market as a beginner. Habang nandito ako sa Abu Dhabi.
Definitely go online. You can do online trading. And this is what Warren Buffett said when somebody interviewed him. How do you pick stocks, Warren? I pick stocks in companies that I believe in. Right? Sure. So I look at the company and I see, is this company going to be around for the next 40, 50 years? Can I picture it in my head? Is it still going to be here? Will people still have a need for these products and services? And if I believe in the company, and then I believe in the management, then and I look at the valuation, if it makes sense, then...
Yeah, it's literally a partnership, right?
Exactly.
I buy into, I become a shareholder, and so that's the kind of mindset you want to have. Now, I think for people like Hardy, he shares my same sentiment of, you know, if Hardy wanted to take this iAcademy certificate course, it would be great if it was available online.
Yes.
Right?
Definitely.
So Hardy could learn that. Now, since it is not yet, any other tips for Hardy? Since he's saying I'm a beginner, and he can trade online, which is what you mentioned, but if he wants to learn more, do you have any advice?
My best advice to people who are looking to learn is just to do the research. And we are lucky right now that almost all information is already online. It's a Google click away. So if he does his research, I think he will come up with a body of information to help him get his feet wet.
I wish I could have more questions for you, and I did say I'm curious about this course, but that's all the time we have. Again, that's our show today. I'm Edric Mendoza. Join us again tomorrow as we bring you more tips on how to save, invest, and manage your money. Thank you for watching.
Philippines is outperforming